This is the Aquasana under-sink water filter system. The first glass I poured didn't smell like my tap water anymore, and my morning coffee tasted cleaner without that faint chemical edge I'd stopped noticing until it was gone. I live with city water that swings between fine and heavily chlorinated. I wanted something that could handle real contaminants, not just polish the taste. And I wasn't looking to install a full reverse osmosis rig with a tank and a drain line. This sits in that under-sink, dedicated faucet category for people who care about actual health-related reductions. Lead, PFAS, chlorine and chloramine, cysts, while keeping the minerals that make water taste like water. Day to day, the design choices matter more than the brochure. The filter unit mounts to the cabinet wall, so I still have floor space for cleaning supplies. 3 canisters hang vertically and twist on and off with a firm quarter turn. That vertical orientation sounds trivial until I'm doing a filter swap and realize I don't have to wrestle with hoses or reroute plumbing. The faucet is the part I see and touch every day. Mine is oil-rubbed bronze, full metal, high arc, with a smooth lever that actually lets me feather the flow. There's a tiny LED at the base that stays out of sight until water flows, then glows to confirm everything's on track. It looks like it belongs next to the main kitchen faucet, not like a tacked-on gadget. Because it retains minerals, I do see white calcium spots if I don't wipe it down. That's a trade-off I accept for the flavor I get. Setup took more patience than the quick start sheet suggests. I tied into the cold line with the included brass tee, and alignment mattered. If I rushed those threads, I'd end up with a slow drip that wouldn't show until the cabinet floor swelled. Mounting the manifold required measuring my vertical clearance so the canisters could drop free for changes. 12 inches is the real number to respect. Drilling a hole for the faucet in stainless wasn't glamorous. A step bit and steady pressure got it done. The push-to-connect fittings are simple once I commit to pushing the tubing past the first bit of resistance. Half sitting in that under-sink cave while holding a flashlight in my mouth wasn't fun, but once the lines were seated, everything locked up tight. The first flush is where people get impatient. I had to run the water a good stretch to purge the carbon fines. The water turned gray, then clear, and the faint gritty feel disappeared. After that, my sink stopped smelling like a public pool. That was the moment this system earned its cabinet space. Flow is the most noticeable everyday compromise. The faucet isn't fast like the main tap. Filling my 32-ounce bottle takes roughly half a minute when the house is quiet. If someone starts the dishwasher, the fill slows further. I adapted by keeping a glass pitcher in the fridge. I fill it once or twice a day and pour from that. For cooking, the slower stream is obvious when I'm filling a pot. But I use it strategically. Boiling pasta and rice with filtered water makes the taste cleaner and avoids that surface scum I used to see in tea. Performance is where it justifies the hassle and the wait. Chlorine and chloramine are effectively knocked down. I stopped getting that bleach whiff from the tap. Coffee tastes brighter, not bitter. Tea loses the film, and my ice cubes freeze clearer than they used to. The system targets heavy metals like lead and mercury, and goes after PFAS, which matters to me because those are not just taste issues. Cysts like Giardia and cryptosporidium are part of the equation too. I like that it doesn't strip everything. Minerals stay in the water, so it doesn't taste flat. If I put a TDS meter in it, the number doesn't plunge, by design. That's a good reminder that less TDS isn't the same as safer, and that not all filtering should mimic RO. Over time, I noticed a few rhythms. The filters are rated for a solid stretch of daily use. I change them about twice a year based on my cooking and drinking habits. In my area, sediment can spike, and the pre-filter is what chokes first. If the stream turns from slow to painfully slow, the pre-filter has usually done its job a little too well and needs to be swapped early. The faucet's LED and the audible chirp help me track it, but the alarm is a simple timer with a tiny battery. It once started chirping in the middle of the night after a late dishwashing session. I keep a spare battery with the next set of filters, and that solved the annoyance. I also learned to reset the indicator right after a change, so it doesn't nag before it's time. I had a single leak scare after a filter swap when I didn't seat one of the canisters perfectly. The O-ring pinched, and I found a small pool under the housing. I shut off the water, reseated it, and added a little food-grade lubricant on the O-ring so it slid smoothly the next time. Since then, I always listen for the click, and give each canister a gentle tug to make sure it's locked. For my own peace of mind, I slid a cheap leak sensor on the cabinet floor. It's never gone off again. My real tests are the habits I changed. I brew coffee with this water every morning, and the difference is obvious without sugar or syrups. I stopped buying gallons of filtered water for the kettle. I cook rice and pasta with filtered water to reduce that starchy aftertaste. I fill my dog's bowl from the Aquasana faucet because the chlorine smell used to make me hesitate. Taste-wise, friends have noticed the lack of tap flavor in iced tea and iced coffee. Over several weeks, I didn't get any plasticky notes or metallic aftertaste, just clean-tasting water. There are small quality-of-life details I appreciate. The twist-off canisters make replacements quick. I don't disconnect hoses. I don't unwrap a maze of tubing, and the manifold stays on the wall. The faucet handle has a consistent feel. No wobble, no gritty valve sensation. The status light is subtle, so my countertop doesn't turn into a Christmas tree when I run water. The system doesn't waste water while filtering, which is good when I'm trying to keep utilities and hydration in check. And yes, the dark bronze shows mineral spots, but a quick wipe handles it. There's one long-term note the manual calls out that's easy to ignore. The plastic housings live in a pressure environment, and over years they take the brunt of on and off cycles. The recommended refresh for the whole assembly at around the 5-year mark is there to prevent fatigue-related failures. I set a reminder, because water damage is a bad way to learn that lesson. If I sum it up, this is for someone like me who wants trustworthy contaminant reduction without turning the kitchen into a lab. I value taste, I care about what's being filtered, and I'm fine with a slower pour if it means better water. I had the tools and the patience to install it. If I didn't, I'd hire a plumber to keep things tidy and avoid mistakes. It may not suit someone who wants fire hose speed at the sink or doesn't want to ever think about maintenance. It also assumes I've got a place to mount the faucet and enough cabinet clearance for a clean install. But as a daily driver filter, it's been steady, predictable, and honestly easy to live with once the initial setup was done. For me, the value is simple. I drink more water because it tastes the way I think clean water should. Coffee and tea improved. The chlorine smell is gone. I replaced buying bulk bottles with a quiet system tucked under the sink, and I don't miss the plastic. It's not flashy, but it's reliable and effective, and that's what I wanted. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the Aquasana under-sink water filter system.